Morning, Year 8, or afternoon, depending on when your lesson is timetabled. This is lesson 2 of week 1 for this term, and the title, again, as yesterday, is Adonde fuiste? So if you can write the date and the title in your exercise book and underline it with a ruler. So Adonde fuiste, where did you go? And we're going to carry on today with what we started yesterday, looking at how to use the preterite tense to talk about where you went on holiday and what it was like. Just before we get into this particular lesson, if there were things that you didn't understand from yesterday or that you didn't finish, then please do those. Teachers are available while your lesson is on, so you can always put up on Google Classroom any questions or queries you have, and we will answer them as you go through the lesson. So, as I said, if there's anything you're not sure about, then please ask your teacher. So, moving on in this lesson, please, as a starter, please, so there we go, a lesson 2 Adonde fui, so there's your title again at the top. As a starter, please, can you unscramble the words to find countries? We looked at these yesterday at the beginning of the first lesson, and in these I've taken away the capital letters, so you need to put those back. It makes it more difficult to sort out. There are 7, tenemos 7 países, 7 countries, and you need to unscramble each of those words to make the name of a country in Spanish. So pause the video while you do that, please. And when you're ready, restart it. Okay, so assuming you've now restarted the video because you've completed that first task, and I want you now to check and correct the work in red pen, please. So the first ones, here they are appearing again, with all 7 countries. The first one was Escocia, which, if you remember, is Scotland. So Escocia, Scotland for the first country there. Second one, lots of vowels in there, A's and E's, and it is in fact Alemania, which is Germany. So Alemania, Germany. The third one, short word but sometimes a bit difficult to decipher, is Cuba, Cuba. Number 4, número 4, tenemos Argentina. So Argentina for the 4th one there. A bit closer to home for número 5 is Gales, which is Wales. We then have Francia for número 6 y finalmente número 7 es Grecia. Okay, so give yourself a score out of 7. If you got 7 out of 7, well done. And if you did it quickly, then excellent, because you were getting familiar with the words and able to recognize them. So as I say, please check and correct the work in the red pen before we move on. Okay, so as I say, pause the video if you need to. And here we go. So we've got the objectives, which are the same as well, they're the same for all this week. So we're looking at vocabulary about holidays, the preterite, the verbs ir and ser. We did a listening exercise yesterday, and later on we're going to set some targets on how to improve further. So the main, or one of the main bits of this lesson is for you to have a look at these time expressions. So what I want you to do, I've given you this time the Spanish and the English, and I want you to see how many you can match up, please. So we have yesterday, last week, last year, a month ago, 3 weeks ago, the day before yesterday, last night, and last month. On the right-hand side, you've got the Spanish, and there are some things here which are the same in various forms. So we've got el año pasado, and we've got el mes pasado. Something looks similar as la semana pasada. So have a think about, are there things here that you can work out by seeing what they mean in one case and then deducing what they mean in another. Also have a think about, why is it el año pasado, el mes pasado, but la semana pasada? Why is that? Okay, so I'm going to ask you to pause the video now to write these out. All of these need to be written in full. Can you put a heading here, past time expressions? Write them in English first and then write the Spanish next to them. Remember, they're mixed up here. You need to sort out the correct pairs. So I'm giving you time to pause the video now before we move on to the correction. Okay, so having restarted the video because you've done the task. Let's correct them. Here we go. I put all these up in one go rather than making them appear. You have got, yesterday is ayer. Last week, la semana pasada. Last year, el año pasado. Now just pause in there for a second. The word for last is obviously pasado or pasada, but why is it different here? Well, the answer is those of you who've thinking about things like masculine, feminine, singular, plural, and we always need to think about that in Spanish and in French as well, because all nouns are either masculine or feminine. They can also be singular or plural. Here we've got a feminine noun, la semana, and a masculine noun, el año. The first one, la semana, is feminine, therefore the adjective describing it, which is the word pasada, needs to match it. It needs to be feminine as well. So it's la semana pasada, but el año, which is masculine, will have a masculine ending adjective, el año pasado. Okay, then we got a month ago, hace un mes, and you can adapt that to come up with 3 weeks ago, hace 3 semanas. So hace, in front of a period of time, means ago. So what would 2 days ago be? Write it down. What's 2 days ago? Okay, if you've got hace 2 días, then well done. And what about 5 months ago? 5 months ago. That would be hace 5 meses. And the plural of mes is meses. You add es to a noun which ends in an s to make it plural. You add es, so think about that as well. And finally, I don't know, a year ago. Okay, if you write that down as well, you should have hace un año. Okay, so as you go through this work, it looks straightforward, but if you think about all the rules that you're following in Spanish, things like adjective agreements and plurals, and how do you make a noun plural if it ends in a vowel or if it ends in a consonant and so on. Those things you're learning as you go along, and you need to sort of recognize that you're actually applying those all the time in your language learning. Okay, so the day before yesterday is anteayer. You saw yesterday at the top, ayer. So ante, ayer, means before yesterday. Antes is before. Last night, anoche. And last month, el mes pasado. So there we've got last week, last year, last month, all with that adjective pasado after the word for the time period. Okay, so those were your, that was the task there for you to understand the Spanish words and match them to their English equivalents. So check and say and correct your work in red pen. If you got 8 out of 8, then well done. And if you also got the ones that I asked you to do on the spot, then really well done. Okay, so moving on. This is just a reminder of the slides that we saw yesterday. We looked at 2 verbs, ser and ir, in Spanish, to be and to go, and they have the same form in the past tense. So, for example, el fin de semana pasado fui al cine. Last weekend I went to the cinema. Ayer fue interesante. Yesterday was interesting. So here we're combining the 2 things. Yesterday we actually just looked at the verb really to go. I went, we went, and so on. Now we're putting the 2 things together to come up with sentences where we not only say where we went, but also what it was like. So if you can copy that down, please, for me in your books. Pause the video while you do that. And once you're done, we're going to move on. Okay, so this we saw yesterday as well. This is the table, which I think you already have, but can you please check, because it has changed a bit. What I've now put on here is ir, to go, and ser, to be. And you can see they are exactly the same. On the left-hand side here where the cursor is going, I don't know if you can see that. We've got fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. Here on the right now, it's not just I went, but it's also I was. You went, but also you were. He, she went, he, she was. We went or we were. You, plural, went or you were, and they went and they were. Didn't mean to do that. Go back. Press too hard. So if you haven't got this written down really clearly and you really understand it, then make sure you do that now. Okay, so pause it if you need to and check that you've got that written down in full. Okay, so moving on to the main bit of today's lesson and the bit where you're going to do the work. I want you to practice using ir and ser in these sentences. Now, this will take you some time. You're going to have to stop the video or pause it. And I want you to please to write these in both languages, because then you can look back and you can think, how did I get that, or how did I not get that? And you need to look at the English first and really understand that, and then write the Spanish. So we've got número uno, yesterday I went to the beach, it was great. So you're going to have to say, use the verb ir in the preterite for I went, and it was is ser in the preterite. Okay, so we've got 5 sentences here. Think carefully about who's doing the action or who did the action. And there's number 4 has got a question in it, so be careful with that one. Okay, I'm going to ask you to pause the video now. It will take you some time to do these. Write them in English and in Spanish. When you're ready, restart the video and then we'll look at the corrections. Okay, so here are the corrections, and you need to check and correct these in red pen. This should have taken you quite a few minutes because you're looking up vocabulary. I should have said before, actually, if you need to look up vocabulary, if you have a dictionary, maybe you asked for one for Christmas and you got a Christmas present of a Spanish dictionary. Well done if you did. But if you didn't, you can go online and look at wordreference.com and then look up individual words that you need, either the adjective or the noun. Do not use dictionaries to find verbs. It doesn't work. It'll give you the wrong information. You'll get muddled up, and what you need to use for verbs are verb tables. And the one we're using is the one that you've written in your book for this week. Okay, so the first one was, yesterday I went to the beach, it was great. That should be, ayer fui a la playa, fue genial. There should be an upside down exclamation mark there, shouldn't there? I've missed it out. I will do it later. Número 2. Last night we went to a restaurant. It was cool. Anoche fuimos a un restaurante. Fue guay. Número 3. A week ago, I went to the supermarket with my mum. It was really boring. So a week ago is hace una semana. Fui al supermercado con mi madre. Fue aburridísimo. So remember, that's the thing, we talked about that yesterday. It has the suffix on the end of the adjective, ísimo, which makes it bigger. So this wasn't just boring, it was really boring. Usually it's really going to the supermarket, but there you go. So you should have got the connected there, or the preposition there, con mi madre, with my mum. Número 4. Fuiste al cine anteayer. ¿Cómo fue? This was a tricky one, and this was the one with the question. Did you go to the cinema the day before yesterday? What was it like? So remember what we said about questions before. In English, it's much more complicated. Did you go? In Spanish, just put down fuiste, you went. Turn it into a question by putting question marks and changing your voice, and it becomes, did you go? Fuiste. So fuiste al cine anteayer. ¿Cómo fue? What was it like? How was it? And the last one, number 5, was 3 months ago. My brothers went to a party, but it was boring. And that should be hace 3 meses. Mis hermanos fueron a una fiesta, pero fue aburrida. It's aburrida there because it's talking about a party which was boring, which is feminine, una fiesta. Okay, so can you look really carefully at your work here? There are 3 things we're checking, really. We're checking the time phrases. Yesterday, last night, a week ago, 3 months ago, day before yesterday. We're checking the verbs. Fui, fuimos, fui, fuiste, fueron. That's the part of the verb ir, and also the verb for it was great, it was cool, how was it? This is going to be fue, which is from ser. And we're also checking the adjectives, which we saw at the beginning of yesterday's lesson. Genial, guay, aburridísimo, and so on. All right, so you need to check that you've got all of those done correctly. When you're happy that you've read it through carefully, please correct in red pen. We need to be able to see this, because I'm going to ask you to submit the work in a minute, and I want to see how you did, or your teachers will want to see how you did. Okay, so just pause for as long as you need to go through that work, check that it is correct. Okay, so just as a final thing, please, we would like you to submit a picture of your work on the assignment. Okay, so make sure that the pictures are really clear. Please make sure the pictures are up the right way, because it's really difficult trying to read stuff sideways on a screen. So take pictures carefully of your work and submit it so that we can see how you've done in the translation sentences and also the matching up of the time phrases. And that's the end of the lesson 2 of week 1. The next lesson 3 will include a reading exercise, and also we'll be talking about home learning. Thank you very much indeed, Year 8. Have a good day.